You can OD on magic mushrooms, but it is very rare to die from them. That doesn't mean you can't get in trouble, though. At 30,000 feet, this off-duty pilot tried to pull the fire-suppressant system, which would have cut off fuel to the engines. He was subdued and removed from the flight deck, but then he tried to grab a lever to open the cabin door. He had taken magic mushrooms 2 days before and said he felt nothing was real and he needed to wake up. Another man heard about the medicinal benefits of magic mushrooms and decided to boil them and inject the liquid. Not the way you take them. He started having nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting blood. When he went to the hospital, they discovered the mushrooms, which thrive in dark places, had started growing in his bloodstream. Freaky. Finally, a man in Austria took 5 magic mushrooms and amputated his own penis with an axe, and then chopped it up into 4 pieces. He then put his penis pieces in a jar. That's a tongue twister. He then put his penis pieces into a jar with snow and wandered around town in a confused state. Luckily, people noticed his excessive bleeding and took him to the hospital. Mushrooms.
Matungo, the horrible mushrooms. Matungo, the vegetable monster. Can they escape the dreaded Matungo? You'll find out when you see Matungo!
Or Attack of the Mushroom People, as it was titled in North America, was directed by Ishiro Honda, who did the first Godzilla movie. Several passengers on a yacht get caught in a storm and end up on a deserted island. If it sounds like Gilligan's Island to you, then you're gonna love that there's a skipper, millionaire, a celebrity, professor, and, well, no Mary Ann. But that and the outfits lead me to believe whoever created Gilligan's Island was into Japanese horror. They find another wreck with a note saying, "Don't eat the mushrooms." Of course, they all start eating them and turn into giant mushrooms. The costumes are awesome, but almost got the movie banned in Japan because they look like victims of the atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I would like to add that I would have survived on the island because I hate mushrooms.
Please, can't we eat the mushrooms now?
That would really be the end of us.
Mushrooms. If you're a gamer, at some point you've probably heard that the Mario games are all about taking drugs. You eat the mushroom, then boop, 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 everything gets wonky and you grow super big. Is it true? Well, sort of. When they first released Super Mario Bros., the instruction manual labeled them as magic mushrooms. The next printing quickly changed it to super mushroom. The creator Shigeru Miyamoto did say in an interview that their mushroom was based on the one Alice eats in Alice in Wonderland, but then he later denied that, probably worried about the drug connection. However, even with Wonderland, Lewis Carroll never said it was a metaphor for drugs. People just started assuming that. Probably the strongest argument that Mario is a shroomer is that the mushrooms in Super Mario Bros. Look a lot like Amanita muscaria, a psychedelic mushroom that may cause hallucinations, euphoria, and dysmetropsia, which is when you see objects as smaller or bigger than they really are. Mushrooms. Dubbed the most expensive food in the world, this white truffle weighing just over 2 pounds sold for $330,000. Truffles are not actually a mushroom, but a fungi that grows underground. They're very hard to find. In fact, people have trained pigs to sniff them out. There's even a movie about it with Nicolas Cage called Pig. It's better than it sounds. Most truffle hunters have switched to dogs, though. When the pigs found the truffles, they tended to eat them. Truffle hunting is super competitive and vicious. People were leaving poisoned meatballs in the forest to kill their rivals' dogs, and when people started catching on to that, they started putting strychnine in puddles for when the dogs got thirsty. One distributor swapped in inferior Chinese truffles and sprayed them with synthetic truffle fragrance, who knew that existed, and food dye to make them look the same. And in a small town in France, a man was shot for trying to steal another man's truffle. Mushrooms. Domenhur is a cult in Italy that is underground, as in caves. They believe in time travel, healing alien technology, and singing plants. Here's a concert they put on for the public. If you're not into cults, there is also a device you can buy for $300 that you strap to your plants to hear them sing. Scientists, always ruining things, are quick to explain that what you are hearing is not really the plant's voices, but electrical signals generated by them as water is moved from one place to another, kind of like hearing a human stomach gurgling. Expanding on this technology, the musicians Bionic and the Wires have added a bionic arm to the plant reader so it can play instruments. Here is a mushroom keyboardist. The handpan, violin, and dropping some drum and bass beats. Mushrooms.
So devastated about what's happened.
Can you tell us
And
a
the
bit?
loss to the community. And to the families. And to my own children who've lost their grandmother.
The Australian mushroom murderer may be the worst murderer of all time. She invites her 4 in-laws and a strange husband to a lunch to tell them she has cancer, but it later turns out she doesn't. Her husband turns the invite down because they've been fighting over child support. She's very disappointed because she's put a lot of work into making beef Wellington. She serves the in-laws individual beef Wellingtons, even though usually you make one big one and cut it up. The Wellington was served on gray plates, except for hers, which was served on a tan plate. She told the police that she'd never foraged for mushrooms, but then these pictures were found on her phone of her weighing what looks suspiciously like a lethal dose of death cap mushrooms. She admits she foraged them. In her computer's search history was a website that listed sightings of death cap mushrooms. She said she didn't have a dehydrator, but in this picture you can see one on her counter, and here is CCTV footage of her dropping off the dehydrator to a dump days after the deadly lunch. There were traces of death cap mushrooms found in it. 3 out of the 4 of her guests died. The 4th was in the hospital for 7 weeks. She was the only one that didn't get really sick. Here she is demanding to leave the hospital against the doctor's wishes. He said he knew she had poisoned them. Duh, we all did. Mushroom.
This is some really good man.
Wow, I feel really good.
And that's all there is to know about mushrooms.
C'est le fun.